If picking brand colors turns into an endless Pinterest scroll where you're basically praying for a sign, we need to talk. Let me guess. You open your color tool, you pick something, you immediately hate it, you tweak it a little bit, and then you hate it in a different way. Or worse, you show it to the client and they say, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Designers don't talk enough about how weirdly stressful color decisions actually are. I've been there. Early on, I would second guess a palette for days and days, adjusting one shade by 1% like that was magically going to fix everything. And the whole time I was thinking, do I actually know what I'm doing? But here's the truth. That feeling, it's not a talent problem, it's a strategy problem. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to choose colors that fit the brand, attract the right people, and stop the endless guessing. Welcome to Designers Building Real Businesses. I'm Jessica, and I have spent the last 10 years as an entrepreneur with a focus on brand and web design. And now I teach creatives like you how to turn your design skills into real income. Let's dive into today's episode. As a brand new self-taught designer, I had no clue that colors mattered as much as they do. I thought all I needed to do was choose a palette that looked good and consider my clients' personal preferences. Yeah, don't do that. At least not only that. Designers are taught how to use color tools, but we're not taught how to think about color. Most palettes get picked based on personal taste, Pinterest trends, the client likes blue, or whatever feels good in the moment. And listen, that's not because you're bad at design. It's because no one gave you a better framework. And so the result ends up being the brand looks okay, but forgettable. Clients can't really explain what feels wrong. They just know that something is off. And you start losing confidence because you can't really explain why your color choices actually work. So here's the bottom line. Your color choices are always communicating something. And if the colors don't match the business, the audience feels it instantly, even if they can't really put it into words. So let's fix this without making it way more complicated than it needs to be. All right, so we want to start with the meaning, not start with a mood board, okay? So before you touch a single color, you need to answer 3 things. Number 1, what does the business actually sell? Okay, who are they trying to attract? And how should that person feel before and after interacting with the brand? Because emotion is what drives trust faster than logic ever will. So if you skip this step, every color choice after that is basically a guess, and it might actually be working against your client's business. So this is where most designers mess up, and they start with aesthetics first instead of strategy. Number 2, color is an emotional shortcut. In a nutshell, this is how color works. Warm colors tend to signal energy, urgency, friendliness. Cool colors lean more towards calm, trust, and stability. And neutral colors bring in balance, sophistication, and some breathing room. Okay, context is absolutely everything. The same exact color can feel totally different depending on the industry, the audience expectations, and the fonts and imagery supporting it. Yes, color psychology is a real thing, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. This is where designers get totally tripped up. All right, if you're sitting there stuck between 2 color palettes and your brain is starting to buffer, this is what I want you to do. You're going to run your colors through this filter. We have a series of 3 questions we're going to ask ourselves, and the first one is going to focus on emotion. So which option best matches the primary emotion that your brand or the brand you're designing for needs to lead with? You don't want all the emotions, but just the main one. So if you're working on a brand that needs to feel calm and trustworthy, high energy colors are going to work against you, even if they're cute. Question number 2 is going to focus on your target audience. Which option would feel most familiar and comfortable to the target audience, not just exciting to you as the designer? Because your job isn't to impress yourself, It's to make the right person feel like they're in the right place when they see the brand. The third question is going to focus on supporting the brand and not distracting from it. So you're going to ask, which option supports clarity and trust instead of pulling attention away from the message? If the color is louder than the content, that's a red flag. For example, if you're branding a luxury service or a high touch offer, a super bold, in your face, high contrast color palette can accidentally signal fast and cheap instead of calm and premium. But that same bold color palette could be absolutely perfect for a more playful, personal brand or a playful product based brand. Certain colors trigger certain emotional responses, but how they land depends entirely on the audience, the fonts, and the imagery supporting it. Inside my brand glow up course, I break this down step by step. We go deeper into color psychology, font psychology, and imagery and how they all work together so that you're not guessing, but you're designing with intention. All right, number 3, the designer's real job is alignment. Your job isn't just to pick pretty colors. Your job is to align the business goals, the audience emotions, and the visual signals. This is why copying another brand's palette almost never works. You're copying visuals without understanding the real strategy behind it. Let's get honest real quick. Fonts, imagery, and color all work together when you're designing a brand. So when you make isolated decisions, you actually end up getting a weak brand. So if you've ever felt stuck, second-guessed your color palettes, or couldn't really explain your choices to a client, now you know why. You don't need more color swatches, you don't need more color palettes, you don't need more mood boards. You need a clear strategy of color psychology. That's it. We're going to wrap up this video on how to pick the right colors for your branding projects. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or follow the podcast so you don't miss what's next. And if you want the deeper stuff, the strategy that I don't always unpack on here, get on my VIP email list. That's where I keep it real. Until next time, stay creative.